In this how-to segment, we're going to teach you how to identify your strengths and, more importantly, your weaknesses and how to go about correcting them. So we're going to start on the student dashboard on the right side with your practice exam results, where you can see your recent exam scores and totals. And below the recent exams you've taken, you will see two different charts. One for your performance by question difficulty, and the other for your performance by question category. Let's start by focusing on our math categories in this case. Of course, if we were ELA, it would show your ELA categories. As you can see, I'm not doing well. I'm doing terribly on the word problems. And I'm not doing very well on evaluating functions at 58% or inequalities at 58%. So these are a couple areas I want to focus on correcting. So that's great. I've now quickly identified some of the areas within math where I need work. How do I figure out exactly where I was making my mistakes, though? How do I dig in deeper? Well, that's pretty straightforward. I just scroll down a little further to the table that shows all my wrong and incomplete answers. It'll ultimately show all your correct answers as well, but by default, it only shows wrong and incomplete answers. So I want to know which ones were, say, the inequalities. I want to dig deeper into that category that needs some work. Well, on my last column, I'll see question categories, at the bottom of which there's a little button to filter the question category. I'll simply select the inequalities from among all the different categories that were on the exams I took and click OK. And that filters all my inequalities, unanswered questions, and mistakes. So I can see exactly what exam, when I took it, and what questions I got wrong specifically in the inequalities category. And I can see it's over two different exams, and I'm going to focus on the one that's wrong, for example. I'll start with 95 on the 2019-20 SHSAT Handbook Math A exam. So how do I get to that? Well, I'm going to click the My Exam Reports Answer Explanations link right below, and I'll get all my grade reports. And once I do that, I can find my Math A 2019-2020 exam and view those results to see the particular exam. So right there, I need to find question 95 in this exam. And there I can see, oh yes, I did make a mistake. The correct answer was A. I selected B. And I can look through the answer explanation to understand how it was done correctly and hopefully identify what mistake I made. But also, if I still don't quite understand it, maybe there's something about the underlying math concept I still quite don't get, I can click through to the math concept in our math toolbox and look at the lessons on inequalities so I can understand all the ins and outs of inequalities. And I can proceed to do that for every question in the category so I can better understand exactly what were my mistakes in the category of inequalities or any of the other categories where I need to do some work. And this is a great way to study in the last days and weeks leading up to your exam to figure out where you made your mistakes and what categories you can improve on. Suppose I also want to review hard questions. I can see I'm performing worse on the hard questions, not surprising, and just below the cutoffs, whereas I'm doing well above the cutoffs on the easy and the medium questions. So I want to investigate hard questions only. Well, how would I do that? Well, first things first, I might clear the filters on my table. And by the way, I can adjust my table. It shows 10 entries by default. I could choose to see 25, 50, even all the entries. In other words, all the mistakes I made at once. And we'll see what that looks like. So now I see it all together. Woof, that's a lot of mistakes. Well, I've taken a lot of exams too. I like to see it 10 rows at a time. Much easier for me to work with. And if I want to move ahead, then I use the paginator below to step forward and backward. So, okay, I don't want any correct answers in there, so let's filter for only unanswered or wrong answered questions and see what results we get. And then I'm going to filter for difficulty this time for hard questions only. and I can see I have 10 entries that were hard problems that I got wrong or unanswered. In 2017-18 Math B exam, I see was question 60, and my answer was -9 that was wrong. So I want to go take a look at that real quick. Let's bring up my exam reports page. There's 2017-18 Math B right there on top. I choose to view that. And I can see again the original grade report from when I first took the exam. So the question number I wanted was 60, which is right up at the beginning. I don't even need to click through. So I will go right to 60, and sure enough, I see I made a mistake. And the answer explanation tells me how it should have been done. And if for any reason, again, I didn't understand it exactly, I could click through to absolute value equation. That's exactly what this question was about, so I can better understand the topic. I need additional help. So that, in a nutshell, is how you can quickly identify your weaknesses, zero in on the particular questions that created those category weaknesses, and analyze them, see the correct answer explanations, or even move directly onto related lessons that will help you understand the concept. Good luck and happy studies.